Hello and welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith and today we're playing through Renegade. We're actually playing the Mother, which is the nastiest super massive computer there is in the game Renegade. Currently Tilda Sweet is jacked into the face server and that's where we left her in the last video at the end of Cycle 1, Round 1, and we are now in Cycle 1, Round 2. Okay, and there's a couple things I want to mention before we get into the playthrough. The first thing is, guys, we are doing a giveaway for Renegade. I don't know if you guys have noticed on the channel, but you haven't, you should check it out. We have a video specifically to how to enter that particular giveaway. I will be giving away a copy when it does. And again, this is all based on Kickstarter production because the game is currently on Kickstarter, and that link will be in the description below as well. But just to make mention of the fact, I am giving away a copy for free. That will be in tandem, though, with the Kickstarter production schedule. So this game is not supposed to be produced and complete until February of 2018. So around February 2018, subject to change, of course, based on Kickstarter production, we may end up having to move that date. But regardless, the winner will still get their game and it will be free. So that's really cool. If you haven't checked out that video, go find that on my main page. That's really the only thing I wanted to mention before we jump into this. The other thing I want to mention is more so about the playthrough. Now, in terms of the playthrough of this particular part of the video, there's a couple things I want to make mention of. First off, I forgot at the end of the last video to throw a spark. And you'll notice there says at the very bottom of the Mother card, during your start of turn step, add 1 spark to your access point. I got so excited and ran right into my to the command phase at the very tail end of the thing. It doesn't affect any gameplay whatsoever, but I don't want to forget to put it on. And I was planning on doing this at the beginning of this video, so here we go. There's the 1 spark going on the access point for the start of this particular round, round number 2. Okay, and then the other thing we want to talk about too is the idea that you cannot go ahead and this is just a kind of a something to be aware of, but you can't upload to a partition where a spark or guardian is. So in the last video, I just kind of played some cards out of sequence, but essentially we uploaded and then we deleted a spark. I should have just deleted the spark and then uploaded. So it didn't change any of the gameplay whatsoever. However, it's just good to keep that in mind because there's a correct way to play and I don't want to cheat. And so that was really it. Other than that, everything went smoothly. So let's jump right into the action. So the first thing I love to do at the beginning of every single turn is, or round I should say, is jump into the Hack Shack and see what it's got because you can always make your hand better. So let's take a look at the 4 cards that were pulled when we grabbed them at the end of the last video. We pulled this one here called the Self-Modifying Inhibitor, and it's a pretty cool looking card. And it says it's an advanced card, of course, because it's coming from the shop. It's going to give us 1 deception and 1 leadership command, and then or we can execute it to delete a spark on your partition. You may then add 1 replicant there if you desire. Well, oh my gosh, we have a spark at our partition, and it would be lovely to blow that thing away and also add a, I guess it would be a replicant to that particular partition. So this is a card we want. It costs 2 replicants. It costs 2 replicants. No, it costs 2 deception commands in order to get this card. I am going to definitely pay that, so I have 1 in my hand. That's a 2, and I can play that right now. Diversion, and it's going to give me 2 of the deception, so it's going to be deleted from my hand, and now I've obtained the Self-Modifying Inhibitor. Great, that's perfect. That makes my hand even better than it was before. And that's what I like doing, is taking a look at that Hack Shack and making sure I can kind of upgrade things. Now, this one here is called Data Shift. We've seen this, I think, before. This might have been here from the last round. I think this is the one I didn't buy. But this one gives us 2 commands for information, or we can execute it to move and shift up to 3 contaminants. This could be really useful later, especially in such a nasty server where we have multiple sparks everywhere. We might want to find a partition that has no sparks, start uploading viruses, and then shove them off into the partitions we need them. So this could be really, really handy. So let's go ahead and obtain this one. In order to get it, we need to pay just 1 information command, and we do have that in our hand. We have data steal. Perfect. We're going to steal that data, and we're going to get data shift from it. So we're going to go ahead and delete data command. Is it data? No, data steal. Deleting data steal from our hand. So data shift is now part of our hand. Our hand is getting better and better every time. Now we're going to take a look at Console Cowboy. This one looks really cool, and I think I saw this one in Ricky Royal's playthrough, and it's a 4 leadership. It gives you 4 leadership, which is insane. That's a crazy amount of commands for a wild ability. We need 3 in order to just buy it. Or we can execute to instead delete a guardian from your partition. Now that's crazy powerful and will come in massively handy once these guardian pile starts going down, because as we remember, once we get to that 6th guardian, they're all in play, we lose. So this is huge, but I don't really have 3. I have currently just 2 in my hand, and I don't know if I can get any more. The only other chance I have is this one, if I could acquire it, but I need 2 cognition, it appears, in order to purchase Ginger Cool, which says sense the flavor. And sadly, in my hand as of right now, I only have 1 cognition. I do have some other leadership cards that I could use in order to get that Console Cowboy, but guess what? The Console Cowboy is still going to stick around for 1 more round, and then the Hack Shack gets wiped for the end of the cycle. So I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to try to work our way to getting that. And I think for Ginger Cool for now, I'm going to leave this. It does say you can interrupt after any spark roll to instead change the face of one of the spark dice. So when we did the spark roll last turn, you can actually use this card to interrupt in that time frame, meaning like outside of your player turn, in order to change basically how it's going to land, the spark's going to land on your particular server, which is crazy. So that's also really cool and could be useful. But for right now, I'll leave those 2 in the shop, and we'll run with what we have in our hand. So what should we do? Well, we knew that the spark landed here. We know for a fact there'll be another one here next turn, and then once we get to 3, a guardian shows up. We want to make sure we always kind of mitigate that constantly. We also want to make sure we start pumping out viruses somehow so that we can start kind of pushing them into the partitions we need in order to combat clumping up, because it's going to start happening soon. Especially at the end of the cycle, things are going to start moving, and that's when scary things start happening. So we obviously need to get rid of this spark, and thankfully we picked up self-modifying inhibitor from our hand, or not from our hand, from the Hack Shack. And this said at the very bottom, you can execute it in order to delete 1 spark. Let's see if we can get it focused on your partition, and then you can add 1 replicant there if you desire. And why not? Why wouldn't I desire that? So I'm going to go ahead and play this card, and I'm going to use it for its execute action instead of its commands action. And essentially, I'm going to go ahead and delete a spark, which is perfect. So I'm going to blow the spark away that's currently in my partition. And the reason that's really handy is now it allows me to go ahead and start uploading things at this partition, because as you can see, I'm totally surrounded by sparks, so I can't upload anything anywhere. So that was great. And of course, I'm not going to forget to go ahead and put a cognition, or I shouldn't say that, it's a cognition, no, it's not cognition, it's a replicant. And these replicants are really cool. We haven't seen them yet, but the idea behind them is when you start uploading them to a server, if you can ever get them to the point where they're outnumbering the sparks, if you have 2 of these and 1 spark, you can actually try to essentially modify the spark and change it into another contaminant, which is really cool. So we can actually either use viruses or even just these contaminants to kind of spread out all over the server and try to basically convert the sparks and modify them the way we want them to be. So it's just pretty cool. So this card's done. We can go ahead and discard it because we used it for its execute action. Now what we want to talk about doing is a couple things. Well, first off, I know at some point I want to get here and I want to deal with the spark. I can't upload a virus here though, because there's a spark here. So I'd have to upload the virus in the partition I'm in and then move along my daisy chain kind of ticket system or route or data information path, however you want to call it, all the way back to the access point. So let's just think about our moves here for a second. In order to create a virus, you need to get 3 destruction into play. This would be overkill. I'd have an extra leadership I'd have to burn, but that's fine. I could use this in order to potentially upload a single virus onto the server, which would be beneficial for combating any kind of sparks that show up there in the future and stuff like that. So we could do that, and I'd have to do this while I'm standing at this particular spot. So that may not be bad. So I'm going to think about that. I'm not playing these right now. I'm just kind of thinking my way through this. Data shift is obviously, we might have to use this likely for its top action, which says we can use it for a information command. And we want to use that because that'll get us moving along the chain to get us back here. We don't need 2, sadly. We only need 1 to get back here. But, you know, it gets us moving. And you need to generate at least 1 of that information or just get moving, even if you have all data nodes in adjacent paths and stuff like that. So we'd likely have to use this to move and this to upload. So we'd upload a virus, then move and get ourselves over here with the virus. So that's all great and wonderful. Wouldn't exactly take care of the spark, but we'd have a virus there which could have potentially combat it, or at least have a chance to combat it. The rest of the things in our hand, we have cognition. Now cognition, what can we do with this? This is where things get a little bit more interesting. So cognition, we can use 1 green command point and we can use it to shift things. So we can push 1 spark or a contaminant token from where I'm currently standing to an adjacent partition. So we can essentially shove these things around a little bit, which is pretty cool. And the reason why shift is cool, let me think about this. We don't want to shift any of our, we definitely don't want to shift any of our uplinks right now, because at the end of the day, our main goal is still to create a neural hub, and we need 3 of them at one location to create an installation. So I don't want to be shoving those around. So this is handy for shoving around sparks or a contaminant that's like a like a replicant or something like that. But as of right now, I don't really know if, like, I don't have enough, only pushing one can, like, I want to keep this with me, essentially. Like, I need more of these. I need at least 2 of these before shifting things out really makes any sense. So, in essence, I may just not be using this card for anything useful, sadly. I think for the yellow action, the only other thing I can do with that one is I could hold on to it in order to try to create something later. Ugh. And I'm going to lose out on my Console Cowboy by using this card too, but I'm going to, this is tough. Tough decisions to make, my friends. Okay, so let's go ahead and start playing. Let's just go ahead and start trying to figure out what we're going to actually use here. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to discard both Infiltrate and Sabotage for its 3 destruction commands. I'm obviously not using the leadership one, but I'm spending these right now in order to create a virus. So this virus, I'm going to install it to, or not install, but I'm going to upload it to the partition I'm currently on, so that's great. So we got a lot of stuff going on there. Now I have this data shift command, so I can go ahead now and I could take, I can go ahead back through the chain all the way back to this main partition, and I could drag along with me the virus that I created, which would hopefully have a shot at combating the insanity that the mother's going to constantly keep dropping on me there. It might even be worth grabbing this one and bringing it with me, and I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to leave the 2 cognition, I keep calling the cognition, they're uplink tokens here and the data node here, but I'm going to bring, essentially I'm bringing these 2. So if I was doing this move fully from start to finish, I'd be taking these 2 from this location and gliding along the data node path to here and dropping these 2 off. And that's essentially it. And all I needed to do in order to do that was just spend 1 information command to move, but I had 2, so I'm burning that card for a little bit less than I could have used it for, sadly. I do still have this one here, but it's completely useless. I don't really want to shift anything. Now actually, you know what? Maybe I do. What am I talking about? So for a cost of 1 green command, I can push 1 spark or contaminant token from an avatar partition to an adjacent one. So I could shove this spark like off to this partition essentially, but I'm just kind of curious as to whether or not that's a good strategic choice. It is, because I know there's going to be constantly sparks dropping here, so it probably is. So I'm going to do that. It's just going to be annoying because it's off. Now I'm off the, now if I have to go deal with this later, I might have to shift. Ooh, that is tough. That is very tough. Yeah, that's interesting. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna do that. We're gonna use it for that particular move. And of course, I'm gonna keep the interrupt card for my next turn. So now I've gone through my entire actions. I don't have anything else I can possibly do. So my turn is now done. We played all of our cards all the way through. We discarded all our play cards into the discard pile as we went along, so that's great. We discarded down to 1 or 0 cards, but I'm keeping 1, so obviously. So we're going to go ahead and pull our cards back up for the next round. So we get Data Steal. This is going to essentially drain your hand. This is why, this will help you understand the cycle, because essentially once you've gone through, when I go through the next turn here, it's going to basically give me, I've ran out of cards now. So essentially this next one coming up will be round 3, and that literally is the last round of the cycle because, well, I have no cards left. We have to kind of reset. But I did get a lot of stuff here, a lot of stuff. Not exactly everything I wanted, but we got a lot of stuff. There's something we could probably work with. We got a lot of yellow. We did get 2 of the cognition, which is good, and we have enough wilds that we could potentially make something work. Actually, we definitely can make something work in terms of getting that neural hub set up there. So I think we can make this work based on what we have. So I'm kind of excited about that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump back up to the start of turn, start of turn, because we now ended our turn. We've entered our turn for round number 2. We're moving to the start of the next turn, and when you start the next turn, you talk about the mother card. We have to drop a spark on the mother's access point, or our access point, I should say. So it's going to land right here. So that's going to be a constant pain in our side as it just bothers us the entire time. We're going to restock the Hack Shack so we can take the cards that I deleted and just remove them. And now we've got a couple new ones here. Look at this, the Dancing Pig. That looks pretty cool. And hey, look at that, Digital Tattoo. What does that say? Also, when this card is used as part of a shop action, it generates 1 information. Ah, cool. Okay, so we got a couple really good ones, and they're cheap. That's perfect. So we got 2 ones that are really easy to pay for. So those will be definite maybe buys in the next video. So at this point, we've restocked the Hack Shack. We're going to roll for sparks. So we roll for sparks, like I said before in the last video, for 1 copper. There's a little pip there on that, which is insanely hard to see. So we're going to grab this server die. We're going to grab this partition die. We're going to do a little roll. And I knocked all the stuff everywhere. We got a 5 red. So it's going to throw a spark way up here in the back corner, which is kind of a pain. I've got all these sparks so far away from me. They're going to likely eventually become a problem for me, but as of right now, I got to really focus on this. And but that's it. So now we've got the roll out of the way. The sparks are down. And we begin playing our command cards. So as of right now, we are currently at the beginning, essentially, of round number 3, and we'll be going through round number 3's playthrough in the next video, part number 3. So I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Don't forget about the Renegade giveaway. Check the video in the description, or I should say check the link in the description below in order to jump in on that, guys. And share, like, and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Let other people know, and let people know how great this game really is, because I can tell you right now, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it, and I like the decisions. It seems like, I'm sure if one of you guys sat at the table and were looking at the cards that I'd gone through in the last round, you probably could have found a different way to utilize the exact same cards. And that's one of the reasons I love this game so far, is just the the difference in personality and in the way you come at it with your sense of thinking. You may sit down and look at it and find a totally different path in how you find victory. So I really appreciate that in the game. It shows how open the design was and how everything really connected together well. So far, so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And that's pretty much it. So until next time, guys, as always, keep on rolling solo.